other things that we'll have to get smarter to understand. The controversy that is what is called the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida. If anything's been propagandized harder than the war in Ukraine, it would be this bill. The Don't Say Gay bill, as the activists have coined it, and their media friends have just adopted. It would be more accurately called the Don't Indoctrinate My Kid into Your Weird Sexual Degeneracy and Hide It From Me bill. But I suppose that's why they're good at branding. Their branding is much catchier than
it is. That. Dreamers.
So its actual title is the Parental Rights in Education Bill, and it passed the Florida Senate on Tuesday after passing the Florida House prior. Governor DeSantis has not stated definitively that he will sign it, though he has spoken in support and defense of it, so it's believed that he will sign it. If so, the law goes into effect on July 1st. The bill stipulates that lessons about sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3, or in a manner that is... Yeah, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So there could be some additional restrictions.
What, like when they turn 9, you can start indoctrinating them into this gender identity horseshit. This happens to people in college.
Yeah.
Grade 3, what a worthless bill.
Well, I certainly think there's a good argument that, why would grade 4 be suitable for any of this stuff? That's the controversy. Here. The bill would allow parents to sue schools or teachers who engage in these topics within these age groups. In general, the bill also requires teachers to disclose any conversations of these themes or other mental health topics to parents, though there is actually an exception. This might be another area in which the law is actually weak. There's an exception in the law that let me find the exact wording here. The legislation has a carve-out that allows schools to withhold such information from parents. Let's say you talked about transgenderism or sexual orientation, when there is risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. So if you just think the kid is going to get beaten by his dad or something, you don't have to disclose it. So who knows how far that fear of abuse, abandonment, or neglect could extend to getting around this law.
This is looking for legal solutions. Oh, we're going to sue teachers. If your teacher is trying to indoctrinate a child into like some radical gender theory or whatever, like we shouldn't be filing lawsuits. We should be burning their houses down. Like we're such pussies. Yeah. So what are we doing? Like, we're going to pass a law that they can't indoctrinate my kid that I should be homeschooling from K through 3. It's like, come on. Like, I think it's time now that we be taking more drastic steps.
Well, to the extent that this is happening, but as we'll get to, that's the confusing thing. The activists say simultaneously, this is never happening, but also, how dare you stop this from happening? So which is it? And I think that we know the answer. We'll get to some evidence about the answer. But somehow the
concept of a stranger teaching your child, I think, is fucking weird.
Well, they shouldn't be strangers, and you should be actively involved in your child's education, even if you're not doing it, and you should know them. Absolutely.
At a minimum, parents should be fixing their kids with hidden cameras and stuff to make sure they aren't getting molested or whatever.
Body cams to stop the touching. All right. Yeah, there's a campaign.
Totally. Do I sound crazy?
It's no more crazy than trusting these people to watch your kids on a day-to-day basis. I can say that. The rallying cry has somehow been for activists to say gay in protest. They send Ron DeSantis postcards that say gay written all over them over and over again, as though, and they march around chanting gay as though somehow you can't say gay in the state of Florida. But that nonsense, of course, ignores the heart of the issue, as we're discussing. Why do people apparently think kindergarten through third graders being introduced to sexuality topics at school is appropriate? And especially, why do you want those conversations potentially hidden from parents? That's the meat of the issue here. And the activists deny any desire to indoctrinate kids, but that's the only possible reason you could have for wanting young children to have secret sex talks.
Yeah.
Unless, I guess the best thing they can say is, I think he's going to get his ass kicked at home. Well, okay, you better have some evidence to that effect that the parents are actually abusive, because even if you think that the parents don't agree, you can't just usurp the role of parent because you don't agree with the parent's philosophy. That's not.
They think that your children are community property, though.
They literally, some of the activists literally
have actually
say that.
Said that. Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. But I mentioned this argument that keeps getting repurposed. Here it is. So just like critical race theory or what we heard about the Ukrainian biolabs, that's not happening. But also, it's good that it's happening. Here's a lesbian grade school teacher in Florida interviewed by NBC News this week.
From school walkouts to protests to rallies. Opponents say if the Don't Say Gay bill becomes law, it will reverse decades of progress.
And the message that we are sending out is so hateful and so mean. This is about creating a safe space so children can feel comfortable in their own skin.
Denise Soufrine, gay and a teacher for 34 years.
We do not introduce the topic of sexuality to young children.
If a child is going through some questions about their sexuality and they're afraid to talk to their mom or dad, is that where then you can answer questions?
I could answer questions for them.
But if this law passes?
If this law passes, I would not be able to answer any questions for them.
And the problem with that?
The child would feel that there is something wrong with them.
There is something wrong with them.
I didn't even edit that, by the way. I didn't
Is she listening to herself? Why didn't that guy question her at all?
Because he wants her to answer in that way.
Oh, God. I can't take this anymore.
And whether you think there's something wrong or not, again, the question is, according to whose judgment? According to whose judgment? The lesbian indoctrinating teacher or the parent? Whose judgment should decide if there is, in fact, something wrong? And I didn't actually cut that. It's not like it's from the start of the interview and the end of the interview. She goes from saying, I would never introduce the topic of sexuality to children. Also, if this law passes, I cannot answer questions about sexuality for the children, which is a big problem. Okay. So, and for that state lawmaker at the start there, we want a safe space in Florida. If parental consent and notification is not a safe space for you, you are a predator.
Yeah.
If you don't grant that premise, parental consent and notification is important, you're a predator. It means exactly what you said. You think you have an entitlement to other people's kids. And speaking of, a lot of people appear to follow that reasoning to that conclusion. I don't know what else to call them but predators. There's this advocacy group called Together Rising. Apparently, they do charitable donations to struggling families. They're making some big donation to LGBTQ families in Florida. But part of the statement reads explicitly, there is no such thing as other people's children.
What?
There's no such thing as other people's children. If you think you have a right to other people's kids, you're a predator. I don't know how else to define that term. I get to take them. I get to control them. I get to mold them into what I want. You are a predator.
Oh my
the
gosh.
Mayor of Huntsville, North Carolina,
murdery.
Mayor pro tem, I guess, temporary mayor, whatever. This woman named Stacey Phillips tweeted, I think this is Chris Hansen shit. If you're a kid living in a don't say gay state and you feel like you don't have an adult to talk to, I got you. You're welcome to slide into my DMs. It'd be an honor to be your auntie with a blessing. Now, thankfully, the backlash was so strong she deleted her account. It is gone now.
Oh, God.
And of course, speaking with the Daily Wire, she says her tweet was taken out of context. She says, quote, well, I understand the purpose of the Florida bill and agree that sexual education of any kind should not be taught to our youngest children in school. The rhetoric around my statement in this bill has been incorrectly spun. It is my duty as an elected official and a Christian, and I am here to support any and all people. Well, so what's the problem? I'm just here to help people by stealing their kids and indoctrinating them into my own idealistic degeneracy.
That is just obscene.
And as far as a tweet being taken out of context, that's kind of the point of the tweet. That's all the context.
Yeah.
You put all your context into the tweet. People shared the tweet. And and when people say, well, taken out of context, what's the context that's missing? The only additional context she provides.
What context is that an appropriate thing to say?
She says, well, I'm doing it to help people. Oh, you're stealing children to help people. Oh, you're chatting up.
That makes me feel way better. What about you?
You're chatting up third graders on Twitter to help people. Oh, well, thank you. That's all the context I needed.
I'll sleep easy tonight. What about you?
Well, knowing I'm far away from these people, I hope, but I won't sleep any easier as my son gets older and closer to school age, because it's like, who the hell can you trust anymore? But I mentioned on the Wednesday stream that there are these occasional displays of female politics that continually convince me to consider more of your perspective on the repeal of the 19th Amendment.
Yeah.
Well, here's one such episode. This is a short video from the account of Florida Senate Democrats parading around, apparently chanting, "My daughter is gay," to the tune of "Smoke on the Water." At least that's what it sounds like. The caption on the tweet is, "We've got one thing to say to our GOP colleagues, gay." That was sincerely posted. And you notice this blue hair mask person in the background with a sign that says, "Let's get one thing straight, I'm not." Yeah, I can tell. And I'll leave you alone to be not straight as long as you want, and you leave my kid the hell alone. Why can't we agree to that deal? I don't understand why those are not acceptable terms. The one of the best replies. Do I have it here? Let me see. Oh yeah, this reply here to that video, the tweet from the Florida Senate Democrats. "Gay people are going to see this and stay in the closet to avoid being associated with you." And another guy responded, "This video did make me consider going back in. I'm not going to lie." So, progress.
That is progress.
Right before our eyes. Okay. Anything else you have to say about the Don't Say Gay bill?
No. Nope.
Okay. That's probably good, because I'm asking you for Susan bait if we go any further. Not that we haven't provided plenty already.